Hello children and welcome to the class today. Children, whether it was EVS or science, you learned one thing about the things around us. You understood that there are living things and there are non-living things. So today in this session in chapter number 9, Things Around Us, we are going to understand these living things and non-living things in greater detail. So let us quickly take the example of living things around us. There are plants, there are animals, and there are human beings. And what are the non-living things around us? There are air, water, dust, soil, rocks, and so many other things. The living things in our environment are known as biotic components, and the non-living things around us are known as the abiotic compounds. Let us now understand more about them through this video. The biotic and abiotic components constitute the natural environment. The living things like plants, animals, and microorganisms constitute the biotic components. The non-living things like air, water, soil, sunlight, temperature, etc. constitute the abiotic components. The biotic components are divided into three groups: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Green plants that prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis using carbon dioxide, water, and energy from the sunlight are called producers. Organisms that depend directly or indirectly on the food prepared by the plants are known as consumers. So we know that biotic components are divided into producers and consumers. What are consumers divided into? They can be herbivores like cow, giraffe, elephant that eat only plants or plant parts. They can be carnivores like lion, tiger, wolf, etc. which feed on flesh of other animals. They can be omnivores like man, crow, bear, etc. which can eat both plant as well as animal products. Then there are scavengers. Scavengers are like vultures, hyena, etc. which feed on the dead decaying matter that the carnivores have left around. Children, there is another category of organisms which are known as decomposers. These are microorganisms that can be seen only with the help of a microscope. Now these, after the scavengers have also fed on the organism, these bones and the flesh, whatever is left, has to be decomposed. And decomposers like fungi and bacteria take care of cleaning of the environment. Now all these living organisms, whether they are producers or consumers, they all have some common features. Number one, they are all made up of matter. If you recall the definition of matter, you will remember that all these living organisms are made up of matter because they occupy space and they have weight. Another feature is their basic structural unit. This structural unit is called a cell, and the cell varies in size and shape in different organisms. Now, what is the difference between living and non-living things? Something very basic that we have been doing all our lives. Living things carry out respiration, they move, grow, listen, speak, make their food. They also breathe and excrete. Non-living things do not do any such activity. Now children, coming back to the characteristics of living thing, we have just understood that the basic unit of the structure of plants and animals is the cell. And we've also understood that these cells vary in their size and shape. As you can see in these pictures given in your book, there is such a clear variety, a clear distinction in the shape of a plant cell, an onion cell, and a blood cell in humans. And as we can see here in each of these pictures, there is a huge number of cells, and this will only be a very tiny part of the item that they have taken, whether plant, an onion peel, or a blood cell. Now, the animals in which there is a huge number of cells, they are known as multicellular organisms like human beings, cows, elephants, etc. In fact, mango tree, apple tree, etc. are also multicellular. There are certain organisms in which there is only one cell that performs all the functions. These are called as unicellular organisms like the amoeba, paramecium and yeast. And an important thing to remember here is that unicellular organisms are not visible to naked eye. They can be seen only with the help of a microscope. Why is it so? This is because a cell is a very, very tiny structure that is not visible to naked eye. The second important feature of living organisms is that they grow, which we have discussed in our previous lessons also, that a seed grows into a plant. A little baby grows into an adult human being who grows old. So, every living organism grows. Then is reproduction. Reproduction means the process to produce offsprings of their own kind. So, what are the ways in which living organisms reproduce? Animals either lay eggs, such as birds, or they give birth to their young ones. And how do plants reproduce? They may reproduce by producing seeds or by different parts. For example, in case of money plant, you can actually plant the stem of the money plant and it will grow into a whole plant by itself. Feeding. So, based on the system of feeding, they can either prepare their own food, in which case they will be called autotrophs, or they will depend on plants or other animal sources for food, in which case they will be known as heterotrophs. The next important characteristic of living organisms is respiration. So, we know that breathing goes on all the time in organisms. So, we take in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. This simple exchange of gases is known as breathing. So, what is respiration? Respiration is when you use this oxygen that you have taken in to burn the food that you have eaten to produce energy. Then this process becomes respiration, which is exclusive only to living organisms. Then when you are eating food, you will obviously be having waste food in your body. So how do you excrete it? You excrete it in the form of solid feces, or you excrete it as liquid waste in the form of urine or sweat, or carbon dioxide, which becomes a gaseous waste. Then comes locomotion. After excretion, locomotion is another thing which is characteristic only to living beings. So, we walk, jump, jog, etc. Animals fly, animals hop, animals swim. What about plants? If you look at this picture given in your book, you will see that the sunflower is facing the sun. Why does this happen? This also happens because of locomotion. Children, next comes response to stimulus. So, if somebody comes and tries to hit you, what are you going to do? You're going to protect yourself. So, this action of hitting is a stimulus, and your response of saving yourself becomes the response. So, this process is called response to stimulus. If you take the example of mimosa plant, or it is fondly called touch me not plant, you will see that the leaves instantly curl up when it is touched. This is because they are very sensitive to touch. The fact that roots grow towards the earth and the stem grows towards the sun are also a kind of response to stimulus. Children, next important factor is the lifespan of an organism. As you can see in this table in your book, different organisms have got a different lifespan. A bacteria has got a lifespan of 20 minutes, a housefly of 7 to 8 days. Then if you look at the larger organisms like chameleon, mouse, squirrel, dog, lion, ostrich, and at the end man, all these have got different lifespans. And of all the mammals walking the earth, elephant has got the longest lifespan. And a bristlecone pine, which is a plant, has got a lifespan of thousands of years. So, there is an experiment given in your book to confirm the presence of air in the soil. You can do it. It's a very simple experiment that can be done at home or in the presence of your teacher, because all you need is a potted plant. We've talked much about the biotic components. We know their characteristics, what they need and what they do not need. Now, what we need to understand is how the abiotic components support us. So, the word bio means life. So, biotic means with life and abiotic means without life. The first important component here is air. We all know that oxygen is an essential gas to breathe in. We also know that carbon dioxide again is an essential gas that is used as a raw material in the process of photosynthesis. So, air becomes very important, and Earth is covered with an entire blanket of air that is known as atmosphere. And in addition to oxygen and carbon dioxide, it also contains nitrogen, argon, helium and neon gases. The next important thing is water. So, we know that about 70% of our body is made up of water. And what does water do? It helps in transportation of material. It helps in regulation of body temperature. It also is a medium for many chemical reactions in our body to take place. The next is soil. So, the uppermost layer of the earth is known as soil, and on this uppermost layer is a layer of humus, which is a topsoil. This helps in the growth of many plants, and without plants, life will be practically impossible on earth. Soil is also the home for many organisms like earthworm, beetles, etc. Next, children, important factor is temperature. Temperature means how hot or cold a body is. We know that Earth is the only planet that supports life on it. Why? Because it is at the right distance from the sun. It is neither too hot nor too cold. So, the right temperature is very important for life to survive. And talking about the sun is also responsible for giving us light. It is due to this light that the process of photosynthesis is possible. It is also due to this process that plants are possible, large forests and large trees are possible. And because of all this, children, life on earth is possible. So, in this chapter, you have learnt a lot about biotic and abiotic components, their characteristics and their importance. Time to get back to the exercises at the back. Thank you.